Okay, so we're going to prepare our pocket supplement A, getting it ready to attach to a bag. The first few steps are the same for both the large and the small pockets. As you can see, I've already interfaced my fabric. So if you haven't done that, go ahead and interface your fabric. And then now we'll start with the small pocket. Now we're going to press the short ends under on all pocket pieces. It's the seam allowance of 1 centimetre 3/8 of an inch. I'm just eyeballing it. Now place your two pocket pieces right sides together and pin those long edges. You can double check that you've eyeballed that pretty accurately at this point. If you haven't, you can go back and fix that. Set that aside because we're going to go over to the sewing machine and stitch those two long edges. Do the same with the large pocket. Place those right sides together. And pin the two long edges. Now we're going over to the sewing machine and stitching those two long edges. Okay, so now that we've pressed our ends under and pinned everything together, we're going to stitch the long edges using a 1 centimetre or 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, 2.4 stitch length. Flip it over, do the second side. Now we're doing the large pocket. Okay, so now we're going to head over to the ironing board and we're going to do some turning and pressing. Okay, so now that we've stitched the long ends of our pockets, we're going to turn them right side out, and at this point you decide which fabric that you want to have as your band. I'm going to have a yellow pocket with a dark band, so I'm going to fold that, and you can use the seam allowance as a guide underneath to get, because I'm pushing the seam allowance towards the top and feeling that and just rolling that just to get a nice finish there. And now I'm going to press that. Making sure my sides are nice and even. So you could have your pocket like that, or you could have it like that if you preferred. I'm going to have mine like that. Okay, so now I'm going to turn my large pocket. Now I'm just making sure that my dark colour at the back here is not going to show through, so I'm making sure it's pressed in there. Now we're going to go over to the sewing machine and we're going to run a line of top stitching right next to the seam, just on the band side. So now I'm going to set my machine to top stitch length. I'm going to use 3.1. You can use whatever stitch length you prefer. So I'm just going to stitch right close to that seam there. Making sure that's right under there. Okay, not that you'll be able to see that very well, but we'll do the second one now. Okay, so now back over to the work table for the next steps. Okay, so now that we have our large and our small pockets to this point, we're going to measure in 16.5 centimeters or 6.5 inches from the left side and draw a line. Use a friction marker, or if you're in a cold country, chalk or a fading marker. And on the small pocket we're measuring in 8 centimeters or 3 1/8 of an inch in from the left side. And drawing a line. Now, grabbing your large pocket, put it on top of your small pocket. Now we're going to line up that line with that one under there, match that up, line the top edge of your pocket with the bottom of the trim on the little pocket, and we'll just pin that into place. Now we're going to go back over to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch from the bottom up to the top, take one stitch and then stitch back down again, and we're stitching the whole way, not just the small, because it's going to look pretty silly if we just stop there. So for the sake of appearance, we'll go right to the bottom. Okay, grab your pocket and we're starting at the bottom and we're going to stitch. Well, I'm stitching next to the line, not right on it. I'm going to stitch next to it, and then when I come up here and take one stitch and stitch back down the other side, I'll be stitching next to it as well. And my stitch length is 3.1. Turn, take one stitch and stitch back down again. Okay, so now we are drawing another line. This one is 3.2 centimeters or 1 1/4 inch from the side. And we're drawing another line that is 2 centimeters or 3/4 inch from the last line we just drew. And now we're going to fold our pocket along that line we just drew. We're going to go over to the sewing machine and stitch along the edge of that line. Okay, so now we have our folded pocket. We're just going to stitch next to the fold, pretty close to the edge. I don't know if you can see that. It's probably about 2 mils or 1/16 from the edge.